Hey everyone, tonight we're diving into the world of ancient Mesopotamia, a land so metal they invented writing just to keep track of all the drama. We're talking about the Akkadian Empire, the first empire the world had ever seen. You know how everyone says Rome did it first? Yeah, not even close. The Akkadians were out there conquering and collecting taxes centuries before some shepherd supposedly founded Rome. So, picture this. It's around 2300 BC, give or take a few centuries, because honestly, who's counting that far back, right? Mesopotamia was a patchwork of city-states, each ruled by their own king, who was probably really full of himself. It was basically a real-life Game of Thrones, but with fewer dragons and more sand. And in the middle of all this, a new kid on the block emerges, the city of Akkad. Nobody really knows where it was exactly, which makes its rise to power even more impressive. It's like if Delaware suddenly took over the world. Now, the Akkadians weren't exactly known for their peaceful negotiations or their love of kombucha. They were warriors through and through, and they were led by a guy named Sargon, who was basically the Chuck Norris of Mesopotamia. This wasn't some fancy inherited title either. Sargon was self-made, a real rags-to-riches story, except instead of riches, it was an empire built on the backs of, well, let's just say, he wasn't exactly handing out participation trophies. Sargon's story is the stuff of legends, or at least the stuff of really old clay tablets. Legend has it he was abandoned as a baby, raised by a gardener, and then somehow managed to climb the ranks from lowly cupbearer to the most powerful dude in Mesopotamia. It's like if your roommate who still hasn't unpacked their boxes suddenly became the CEO of Google. Sargon wasn't just lucky though, he was a brilliant military strategist and a ruthless conqueror. He built a powerful army equipped with the latest in Bronze Age weaponry and a can-do attitude and set out to conquer his neighbors, and conquer he did. He took over city after city, state after state, until he had united all of Mesopotamia under his rule. It was a period of unprecedented peace and prosperity. For the Akkadians, that is. The rest of Mesopotamia, not so much. But Sargon wasn't content with just Mesopotamia. He wanted to create an empire that would make Alexander the Great weep into his chiton. So, he set his sights further afield, conquering parts of what is now Iran, Turkey and Syria. His empire stretched from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean Sea, making it the largest the world had ever seen. He basically invented the concept of too big to fail. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. Running an empire that big wasn't easy, even for someone as undeniably awesome as Sargon. He needed a system, a bureaucracy, a way to keep track of all those taxes and tributes, so he did what any sensible ruler would do. He appointed his daughter, Enheduanna, as the high priestess of the moon god Nana in the city of Ur. Oh, and she also happened to be a prolific poet and hymn writer, because why not be multi-talented when you're the daughter of the most powerful man on earth? Speaking of language, one of the most enduring legacies of the Akkadian Empire was the spread of the Akkadian language. It became the lingua franca of the ancient Near East, the language of diplomacy, trade and culture. Imagine if everyone from Greece to India was speaking Cockney rhyming slang. That's basically what happened with Akkadian. It was the language of power, and everyone wanted in on the action. This linguistic unity helped to facilitate trade and cultural exchange throughout the empire. It also made it a lot easier for Sargon's bureaucrats to collect taxes. Because even in ancient Mesopotamia, nobody likes doing paperwork, especially if it's in a language they don't understand. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, even if that good thing is a vast, terrifying empire built on military conquest. After Sargon's death, his successors struggled to maintain control. Revolts broke out, enemies rose up, and the empire slowly began to crumble. It's almost like building an empire on violence, and oppression isn't the most sustainable model for long-term success. Who knew? Within a century or so, the Akkadian Empire had collapsed, leaving behind a legacy of both innovation and destruction. But, hey, at least they made their mark on the world, right? And they gave us a great story to tell. Just don't tell the Sumerians, they're still a little bitter about the whole being conquered thing.